Hey, it's Mikey from Rockin' K. If you don't know who we are, we're a couple of Americans who are transplanted to Germany. We're doing the homesteading, DIY, and off-gridding in Germany, which has been interesting. So, in this installment, we're working on the wood stove and the wood boiler and all the plumbing associated with it. So we're trying to make it more efficient so that we can get this system over onto the solar and be 100% off-grid for our heating needs. That is coming up. Hey, here we are, getting ready for another day working on that heating wall. So, this morning I got my delivery of my manifold, which means we're off and running. We should have everything we need, minus maybe a couple of fittings, but we can get by. So, I already started. Let me flip you around. I had already started and cut the pipes because I need to start getting everything figured out. So I cut the pipes there and there. And that manifold is going to mount right here, and the mixer's above it. So the first step is to get some fittings on here so that we can connect them to those supply lines, and also get it set up so we can mount it on the wall. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll bring you back once it's up on the wall, because we got to figure out how we're skinning this cat, because it is a lot of plumbing. So without further ado, let me get to it. All right, we got the manifold on the wall. Let me flip you around. So there she is. She has room for 3. Those are some caps that I'm going to put together later on to block off the 3rd circuit until I get the last mixer and actually have to install it up above for the 2nd floor over in this area. So it'll stay capped for a little while, but you can see it'll be a nice clean install. Now I just have to get those connected to those. Once that's done, our supply is done, and then we have to work on skinning the cat, bringing it up and over. But what I'll probably do is put the mixers on now and get them mounted, because they do lag to the wall, and it'll make it a little more stable, because right now it moves just a little bit. So let me get those mixers up and on. All right, so it's been going pretty good. We got a little bit done. Mixers are mounted. So you can see how I was saying we'll have the 2 mixers with the provision for the 3rd. The 3rd will sit there and feed its way up. I have, so far, we have the return is hooked up. Now we'll just get the feed line hooked up. So it's got to go from here to there. And so far I've used 1, 2, 3, 4 fittings. I'm trying to be as smart about it and conserve the fittings, because they are a little pricey. Not too expensive, but they are pricey. So we'll press on. Okay, y'all. So it is right now 9:30. Long day. So good 10, 11 hour day. But let me flip you around. We now have the party room / man cave circuit is complete. It comes down here to this manifold and feeds the party room. We are pumping. getting there. As you can see, power wall is active, or the heating wall is active, and so is the wood stove. Not gonna lie to you, it was a long day, but Mama has heat. That's what's important. So we're gonna rely on the party room to warm the house up. It should do it. It's only supposed to be like 10 degrees Celsius tonight, and in order to be comfortable, you need to be about 17, 18 minimum. It was a little chilly last night. I'll give it to Mama. She was right. Don't tell her I said that. But it's been a long day, and I'm out of parts. I ordered more parts. I drove around the local town here, Bitburg, trying to find the parts. That's why it was such a long day. I'm looking specifically for these cold crimp, these cold press fittings, and the problem is not everybody carries them. I can find them all day long in copper, but I'm looking for a material called Prestabo. It is a type of steel, and it's used primarily for heating circuits. It is not permissible for drinking water. So I was able to get away with what I had and get one circuit running. As you can see, the other circuit is not even hooked up. There's no pipes coming out. But I did find out something neat. If you turn these, it turns the water off coming out. So I was able to get everything hooked up, get the system up to pressure, and so far there's no leaks. That's a good thing. And I'm going to flip you around again. And over here, out of that big bag of fittings, I have one single crimp 90, one double crimp 90, one double crimp 45, and a pair of pipe fittings that threaded with crimps. So we were very resourceful today. I had to cut a bunch of the pipe out from the basement. So as I was cutting them, I was getting the 90-degree bends that we needed for the system. Hey, waste not, want not. Every dollar or penny that I save is one less that I got to work for. So the system's up. It's doing pretty good. I'm waiting for it to really get up to temperature, because as the temperature rises, of course, the pressure rises slowly. And I'm trying to keep an eye on the fittings and make sure that they don't leak. I use this, I don't know if it's a European style, a German style, I don't know what it is. But when they do their fittings, instead of wrapping them with Teflon and all that, you use this stuff like horsehair and then pipe dope to seal the pipe fittings. And this was the first time I've done it personally. I've watched it done many, many, many times with the heating meister. I've worked with him in the past, fixing his system, fixing my system. So I kind of learned how to use it and wasn't really sure. I was like, okay, let's do this. The heating man was actually elsewhere taking care of somebody else. We do a lot of work for neighbors and such that aren't as fortunate, and they need help. So we're there, we help them. And he was helping a neighbor that unfortunately diabetes claimed his leg. So he lost one of his legs yesterday. And so he was actually, a couple of, one street over doing a bathroom on the first level for them. They didn't have a bathroom on their first level, so he was putting one in so that this gentleman would not have to take the stairs. But that's what it's about. That's what we do. Just like me giving away the heater and stuff like that. I'm blessed to have a job and be able to afford to do things like redo my heater, and I have heat in my house, and I am mobile. I am blessed with good health. So we pay it forward, and if you can, I recommend you pay it forward too. Gives you the good feels. You know, it's just a neighborly thing to do. But it is late. I do need to go and hit the shower and such. I have to keep an eye on this system to make sure it's not leaking, to make sure it doesn't go over pressure, because right now we're only heating half of the house. And it is very easy for this wood stove, because of how much heat energy it puts out, that we could spike. So I only did about half a load of firewood. We'll see how that does. But I gotta call this one a day, and we're gonna come back. I'm gonna be in the basement tomorrow and crimping the fittings for these two lines right there. The other end is in the basement, and it feeds all my radiator style heating, and that's what I'll be doing tomorrow. So I'll bring you guys along, show you a little bit of that as well. I did have to temp stab all my wiring because I was just running out of time, and so there's still more to do here. There's still more to do in the basement, and I'll bring you along, and you can see how I get it all together. So until tomorrow. Hey, so it is Sunday. Gained a lot of ground yesterday. I came out and cleaned out the stove and fired it up. I'm burning little scraps and Amazon boxes and stuff like that. It's second fire really on the new system. The system seems to be a lot more efficient. I came out this morning, or I should say now it's this afternoon. But this morning it was up at near 50. And right now, as you can see, it is still sitting at about 40 in the storage tank. So it seems like we're going to burn a lot less wood. So I know it's only one circuit at this time. It's going to change a little bit when the second circuit is up. But right now, it seems to be doing pretty good. So today I'm going to sneak down into the basement. It is Sunday. We're not really supposed to work. It's quiet work, so nobody will say anything. I'm going to go down in the basement, and I'm going to crimp those fittings, and I'm actually going to show you this time around how that crimp system works and what I did down there. So we'll go ahead and head down to the basement here in a minute. Okay, folks. So what I was talking about earlier about using the horsehair and pipe dope. So I'm new to this, and I have to prep these valves to go in the basement. These are the isolation valves for the house circuit. So if you look at this fitting, it has all little tick marks on it where it's been roughed up. The reason it's been roughed up is so that it will hold the horsehair when you wrap it around. So what we need to do is get some horsehair, get it straightened out, and wrap the fitting in the direction just like you would use Teflon tape. You would use this. Let me adjust you a little bit. You would use this just like Teflon tape, and then with pipe dope, and then put it in the valve. So if it doesn't have these little tick marks on it, like if you can see it's rough on the threads, what you can do is you can take a hacksaw blade and run it against the grain. Kind of like if you're holding a hacksaw blade, you can scuff the threads up. That'll make the horsehair stick to it, so that when you thread it in, it doesn't just run up the threads. So it comes in a bunch like this, and you'll take a little bit off of it, like so. Then straighten it out nice. Now, I've learned this from my German Meister friend. His job is putting heating systems and sanitary systems together. And I'm pretty sure I'm doing it right. If you think I'm not, go ahead, throw it in the comments. Let me know what I'm doing wrong. But like I said, you'll put it in the direction that you thread the deal in. And basically you're going to install it just like you would Teflon tape. In the direction that you're threading it. And you want to get it down into those threads like so. And keep straightening it out along the way because it will want to knot up just like normal hair. Make sure you're getting it down in those threads. I'm still learning about how much to actually end up with on the threads. What I've been doing is pretty much going flush with the threads. So if you look, it's all wrapped and it's pretty much flush with the threads. Then we're going to take the pipe dope and we're going to apply it onto the horsehair like so. Make sure it soaks into that horsehair. Then you get it good and deep in there. And I'm not sure what effect it would have on the system, but I will say, because of pumps and stuff, try to make sure that you don't get it on the inside of the fitting and keep it off the very end of the threads. Just make sure you have it on the outside of the threads. And then we're going to install it into the valve. So my thoughts on this, and I could be wrong, is you should feel some resistance when you're putting it in initially. That means you have enough of the horsehair in that fitting. And it should never really bottom out. If it bottoms out, you pretty much know you didn't have enough on there to get a good seal. So we're going to go ahead and start winding this one in. And I'm getting good resistance right off the bat, which is a good sign. And like I said, I'm not an expert at this by no means. I have learned from a Meister. But I am not a professional. So now that that's in there, and I'm feeling confident that we got a good seal, because once I press these fittings, there's no going back. So there it is installed, and you can see I didn't bottom it out, so we know that it should have a good seal. So I got 3 more to do, and then I'll take you down in the basement and we'll get these valves installed. Okay, so we're here in the basement, and I told you it's pretty cramped quarters, so, and excuse the lighting. But, so we're doing cold press fittings, and the tooling, while expensive, it pays. I have a friend who's a Meister. It is really, really slick. So here's the gun. And what happens is this is a Viega press system. So you have these ridges here, and there's an O-ring in these ridges. And when you compress them, it not only locks the pipe, but it also makes sure that that O-ring makes solid contact. So let me show you. So you open the jaws on the tool, put that ridge in the tool, like so, and then it is as easy as that. Now that is locked solid. So pretty cool system. I like it. It works. And so off to the races. Got more to do. So something neat about this tool as well is my drop is 22 millimeters. So you can pull a pin, switch out the jaw, and do smaller fittings. Really easy. Gotta love it. So you may see me marking the fittings. It's to make sure that they're seated, that they don't back out when you're crimping them. Or I should say that they don't back out before you crimp them. Looks like we're good. So what I will do is I'll take you along. We'll shed some light on the situation so we can look at the fittings. So you'll notice whenever it does crimp them, it puts these little flat spots. It stops the pipe from spinning. But it's also good to see if you got it crimped. So that's crimped. So is that one. We'll look here on the corners. Good, 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 good. Now here on the drain and fill valves, that's good, that's good, that's good, that's good. Now on these corners, that looks good, that's good, that's good. So is that one. Here, the same, good, good. Now we'll check these T's really quick. All that looks good. All right, so this side of the wall is done. Now I'll take you for a walk and we'll go over to the other side of the wall. So on the other side of the wall is where I put those isolation valves that I showed you building. And those are going to allow me to shut this end of the system off and keep it full if I need to do maintenance anywhere. So here are the valves right here. Something you want to make 100% sure of when you're installing valves is if you look, these are close to the wall, so they'd never be able to go that direction. So I did make sure 100% that they go in the right direction. And I also turned them to make sure that they hung down. Let me flip you around. Because if you notice, when they hang down, you can see, hey, wait, those are turned off. This way, if you're having an issue or troubleshooting something, you know what's up. So I'm just checking these fittings, making sure they're all crimped. So we're going to leave these valves off for now because the other end of these pipes are the ones over by the mixer. They go all along the ceiling, all the way around, and they go to the wood boiler. So we're going to leave these off for now. It did now stop the leak that I have because it's been back draining slowly. So that's good. They're in. We're all crimped up. I'll go ahead and pack this crimper up so I can bring it back to my friend, my neighbor, because he uses it for work. So that's kind of why I'm stuck doing it on a weekend, so that I can use the tooling that costs hundreds and hundreds of euro, and I can get the job done without having to purchase the tool. While it would be nice to have my own tool, it really, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't make sense. Because I'm not going to be doing heating every day. I'm not going to be doing plumbing every day. So we got this end done. Let's head back to the wood barn. Okay, we're back. And DHL was here today. Good stuff. Good stuff. Look at that. Let me step back a little. So all the pipes are dry fit. They're not pressed yet. I'm waiting for my friend who's the heating meister to come home from work so I can press all the fittings. But we're going to get it pressed and we're going to get it filled. What I have to do in the meantime is only one of the mixing controls is slaved in. It's not permanently wired. I'm going to temporarily wire the other one so that I can test the system. Then I will go ahead and install the additional conduit in the gap right here and run all of these wires right here in the conduit around the top, just like I did with the main power. So I'll be back hopefully with the press to do the rest of the pressing of the fittings, and we can get this system filled up. So hopefully my neighbor gets home soon. Hey y'all, we are back, and everything is press fit, watertight. I do have to do some clamping and stuff on these. That's going to be a little bit interesting because I do have to put holes in behind this. It is what it is. I'll get it done. I can actually disconnect it up top and lean everything out real easily. Not too difficult. But she's full of water. She's sitting right now at about a little over 1 bar. I ran in the basement, made sure all those new connections are watertight. I've been watching here. The system is full of water. It was circulating because when you first turn on the mixers, they do their thing and circulate the water. So as you can see, both of the pump displays are off, which means it's not pumping water, because we're in the process of heating up the wood stove. So the water temperature in the wood stove right now is 46 degrees Celsius. When it gets to about 62 degrees Celsius, it will start sending it over to the big tank. And once the big tank heats up, the pumps will start. So, interesting. It is like 20 degrees Celsius outside. So those days that Mama was cold, yeah, she didn't have heat. Well, guess what? Mama's warm. Now she has heat. But we are ready for winter. I do have cleanup work to do. I did a lot of temporary wiring down here. Like I said earlier, I do have to put the extra conduit in here, route a bunch of these wires that are on the heater control board that are actually, right now, they're just sitting here. They all have to be pulled together, put in conduit and all that. I just have a temporary wiring set up right now so that we can fire it, make sure the mixers turn on and off and do their adjusting the way they should to make sure the wiring's proper. And then we'll get it all in conduit and make it all pretty. So that's going to be the focus for probably tomorrow, Wednesday. Today's Tuesday. Hope you all had a good Columbus Day and y'all, enjoyed your day off. I didn't really have a day off. I was in here working, doing the dry fit on a lot of the plumbing, and I was also in the workshop working on my quad. There'll be a video coming out. My quad had an issue. I won't go into detail here, but there will be a video posted, and that's going to be a bonus video. I will probably put it out tomorrow. The quad is not done. I'm waiting on a gasket. So once the gasket comes in, I'll get the quad done and get that content out to you. That will be bonus content. It won't be a part of the regular posts. But I'm going to sit here and wait, drink a little bit of coffee because it has been a long day. It is already 10 minutes to 7 at night, and I'm babysitting the wood stove to make sure that everything does what it's supposed to. I'll probably duck inside and grab a bite to eat because Mama was already like, hey, dinner's ready, you got to come in. I'm like, no, I got to stay out here, you need heat. And that's when she was like, no, I don't, it's warm out. I was like, but you're going to need heat later, so we're going to do it today. So heating is up and running. It is 90% done. Everything seems watertight. It's a win for today. I will bring you guys back and let you know if the mixers and all these pumps turn on like they should. And yeah, then we'll do all the wiring and stuff in the next coming days. So see you then. All right, it is 9 o'clock at night. I'm back out here in the wood barn where the heater is. Both pumps are up and running. The pumps are actually doing their thing with the mixers on each. We're down to about a 30% mix over here and about a 60% mix over here, meaning 40% of the water is recirculating in this one, and about between 60 and 70% of the water is recirculating inside of this one. So that means the system's pretty much up at temperature. The house is getting warm. This is a win. Our mixers are both up and running. They're doing their thing. These are the controls. Big win. So now, tomorrow, I have to do all this wiring. And that's fine because the fire will go out by then. I only loaded it halfway. And the house is nice and toasty. This thing is super efficient compared to before. I wouldn't be surprised if I save around 30% of the wood consumption because, I mean, it turned out really good. This system, so when it was first put in, it was doing a lot of bypassing through the oil boiler, but that's because we were using the oil boiler as a backup, and it was to be expected. But now the oil boiler is taken out of the loop, so it is doing direct heating. It is not going through the water, the boiler on the oil heater. And I think that was really killing our efficiency. It was exchanging a lot of the water over and over and over through the tank. And that is evident with the upper and lower temperature values on the tank. So on the tank itself, we have the upper temperature of 64.5 Celsius and a lower temperature of 25.9. Now this temperature will come up as the wood stove runs, but if it was circulating a lot of the water, this temperature would be coming up a lot faster. So all that means is I'm not flooding the bottom of the tank with hot water. That is basically going roundy round. And yeah, so it seems to be working way more efficient. I expect to see a big difference in the wood consumption. Now it's on to all this electrical. That's a tomorrow thing. We'll start out with the electrical supply for these mixers and build in the ability to have that third control on the wall. So we'll set it up for that there'll be an electrical supply for the third one that will go here. As the heater meister said, it appears that we do not need a central circulation pump, and that's a good thing because I think that's what was wasting a lot of my energy. Plus it was taking 22 watts to power that pump. Right now I'm burning a total of 16 watts. I got 11 watts on the floor and I got 5 on the main house circuit. So big win. My pumps are using 16 watts. That's really good. I was using that wattage with 20 watts on top, 22 watts. It all depended upon head pressure and all that when it came to the pump. So not only am I using less wood, I'm using less electricity. So another win, because I'm paying an extreme amount for my electricity. Hence the solar system coming online and such. Here in Germany, we are paying about 41 cents per kilowatt hour. 41 cents. Euro cent. So figure that at 42, 43 cents per kilowatt hour US. That is astronomical considering, I know some of the southern states, they're paying, as little as 10 cents per kilowatt hour. So I'm paying about 4 times as much. That's a lot for electricity. So every watt counts, hence LED lighting, the Velo Pico efficient pumps. Every little bit counts. So, all right, folks, I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to come back in here tomorrow and start tackling some of this wiring. I want to get this squared away before I start inside the house again. And that would be cutting the floor, moving the hot water heater and stuff like that for part of the renovation. And yeah, win-win. We'll see you in the morning. Hey, so it is Friday, and while the plan was to get some of this wiring done, I ended up getting pulled in other directions. So yeah, life be like that sometimes. But we are in the wood barn. I'm getting ready to fire up a fresh fire. We have ops checked this. It was working correct. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get this fire going. I'm going to go in and start editing some video, and then I'm going to come back and do some footage, do some videoing of the system in action so I can do a little bit of explaining. I won't go into too much great detail, but we're about to start a fire. So you can see that firebox is quite large. Right now we got a little bit of wood and a bunch of Amazon boxes in there. Amazon boxes make good kindling. Just saying. And hey, I would say they're free, but you gotta buy crap to get them. So, anyway, let me get this fire going, and we'll come back. So you can see, really difficult to see there. There you go. We'll get some light on the situation. So the firebox is rather deep. So there is that piece of firewood right there, down alongside those Amazon boxes. So I got a little bit of pine in there to try to get her started. And pardon me, but I'm going to be doing this single-handed since I'm holding the camera with the other one. So hold on one second. we'll get her going. Let me grab my handy dandy tripod. That'll make it a lot easier. Put y'all in the tripod. Give you a little bit of height. So you can see what I'm doing here. Back you up a little bit. So like I said, we're going to get this fire going. I have these handy, they're called tumbleweeds. You folks in America can get them. Any of your grocery stores where you can buy the little fire logs and such for fireplaces, they're going to have them. These things are pretty good. So basically they're strings of wood in wax. I like them because they're not really an oil-based stuff. So, and I use my little garden weed burner. Makes things easy. We'll get these things lit. And away we go. So while that's heating up, we're getting a little bit of fire on it. We go ahead and grab another piece of pine. I have some pine that's been down for about, 6 years. So it's really, really dry. I only use pine to start my fires. And then we'll go up here on the control and we'll literally just hit on. You'll hear the fan start up. And unfortunately, because the door is not closed, the fan is going to blow all that smoke in here. But what we're going to do is we'll close that door for now. Open up the bottom door. I'll show you that. So down here is the lower chamber. And this lower chamber is literally just a firebox. It has some fire brick and stuff lining it. And that's where the ash falls and the fire comes down through there. So this is a downdraft system. So it'll blow it into this box and up the back. And up the back so that it goes through the heat exchanger for the water. Because this is a water boiler. So I normally leave the bottom open for a little bit. It gets a little bit of an overhead draft then. The air actually ends up coming in the bottom and blowing up. And it gets the fire going. So because I'm using that pine that's been, I don't know, it's been at least 5-6 years at least that this pine's been down and laying in the barn drying. And that's the thing about pine, is it has to be really, really, really dry because of all the sap and stuff that's in it. Germans are a mixed bag. Some people burn exclusively what they call fichte or pine, softwoods, and I just can't bring myself to do it. I was raised in America, and I was raised on traditional wood stoves, and the fact that you didn't burn pine because you didn't want a chimney fire, because using pine was notorious for having chimney fires. Because what would happen is all that pine would turn into tar in the chimney. As you can see, that fire lit right off. Real effective system. So we'll get that door shut. And come down bottom, get this door shut. Now my oven is doing the downdraft. So air is being blown in the top. It is shooting the flame and the exhaust gases down the bottom. Then it's coming up the back and heating up our water. So we are at 37.6 degrees Celsius on the chimney. And that's the chimney temperature, the gas temperature of the chimney. Right now we are 18.6 Celsius on the wood boiler itself, the water in the boiler. Unlike some of the other boilers that you see, this boiler is made that it can be cooled down and heated back up. You don't have to have a constant fire. You have the ability to let it sit for a day or two and then refire it, because that is like a big battery that stores all the heat energy. It's 4,000 liters. It's got a lot of insulation. So anyway, I've been rambling for, I don't know, 7-8 minutes now. And stove's heating up. I'm going to head over to the man cave and I'm going to do some editing. And then I'm going to come back and I'll show you everything in action. Okay, so I've been editing next door. Stove's been heating up. And now we are at 70 degrees Celsius on the water. And right now the chimney's heating up again because the fire was damped down just a touch. So we're coming back up. It's at about 150 degrees Celsius right now. About 180 to 200 is the sweet spot. When she's running there, she's putting out the heat. Now we'll come over and I'll show you on the heating wall. Just as before, we're over 60 degrees Celsius. We're at 25 on the bottom, meaning we're not exchanging a lot of water. And this is actually, instead of house, because this used to be the house circuit, we're actually putting about 50 degree water into the bottom of the mixers, and 30 is coming out. So what that means with the almost 50 now, and 30, if you look over here, that's the temperature of this bottom pipe is the one that's around 30, and the top one is the one that's around 50. And those feed into that distributor that feeds the mixers. So that's just how much hot water is coming out of the big battery, the big tank behind me, and how much water is being returned to it. So we're not exchanging a lot of water at the time. That's a really good thing. That means I'm not cooling the tank by cycling the water through and having it drop a couple of degrees coming from the top and coming in the bottom. That was where I was losing a lot of efficiency before, is because the water is circulating through the pipes. The pipes inherently cool the water, so I'm taking water out of the top, cooling a little bit, and then shooting it in the bottom, and there goes our heat energy. So we'll pop these lids open, and just like before, the pumps will trim themselves. They're those the Velo Pico smart pumps. So as head pressure changes and radiators open and close, and these floor valves open and close, it'll change the amount of watts it pulls. So this one's pretty rock solid at 11 because the valves don't alter that much and there's not that much water circulating. And then this one here is sitting at 6 watts currently. So it sounds like there's a lot of the radiators are open right now, so the house must be on the cool side. You can see this is the water going out. This is the water coming back from the floor in the loop. So they're getting pretty close in temperature, as you can see. And then when you go over here, here's the water going out to the radiators in the main house. That's sitting right around 50 degrees, and it's coming back about 35. So the house is still soaking up some of the heat out of the system. And so it is returning the water a little bit cooler. Overall, it's a win. I've been checking for leaks everywhere. Excuse me. Checking for leaks on all those horsehair fittings. I've been checking, making sure that, hey, because I'm the new guy, and it did work out. So far, there's no leaks. The overall system pressure has been rock solid at about 1.5 bar. Before, when the boiler was into the mix, that pressure was very unstable. So if the stove would cool down a little bit, it would drop. And then as the temperature on the stove would come up, it of course would or spike in pressure. And I think it was just because of the boiler and the way the water was in the boiler and stuff like that. We do have a ginormous pressure kettle. So right there, that big blue tank is the pressure tank. Similar like on a well. It stabilizes the pressure, has an air chamber in the top. Works the same for your heating system. At first I thought that was not big enough, and I spoke with the heating meister, and he's like, no, that is more than big enough for the tank you have and the amount of water you have. Plus there was another one in the basement, so I don't know if they were fighting each other. I don't know what the issue is. I just know it's not an issue anymore. So the big win, big win overall. Like I said, I got pulled away during the week, so I didn't get to finish up the wiring, and we'll get that wiring done. You know, we're in the weekend now. I do have to finish the quad. I have to put the case back on the quad. The gasket's here. I got some other little parts for it because I figured while I was ordering it, might as well order other parts. The shipping was flat rate shipping, so it didn't matter if I threw a couple extra parts in there. So I spent a whole, I don't know, 20 or 30 euro between the gasket and the nickel and dime parts. But make the quad a little better because winter's coming, for lack of a better term, and I use my quad for plowing. So because I do have quite a bit to plow. And, you know, doing the neighborly thing, I do plow most of the sidewalks in the village, and I do plow some of the neighbors' sidewalks, some of the neighbors' driveways, and stuff like that because, you know, it's the neighborly thing to do. And, you know, when I see them out there shoveling snow, I feel bad. It takes me a minute. It takes them an hour. So I'm going to do it for them. So, big win. Everything is up to temperature. This stove has been great. I will do an in-depth system overview and all that and explain everything in great detail. I will do a separate video just to explain, show you the workings of the stove, how it works, the things that we're going to change coming up, because while the plumbing side of this is all done, we need to work on chimney, and like when the doors open and the smoke coming out, we've got all the fixes for that. In fact, my neighbor's is already done, so that's how I know what I'm doing, because we have the identical stoves. You know, and we'll come back and discuss the wiring and how the temperatures and all that are managed, where the temperature sensors go in case you want to set this up yourself, because it doesn't matter whether you're heating with wood, gas, or whatever. If you're heating with a water circulation type system and baseboard radiators, or like similar to the old style radiators, we have the radiators are on the walls here in Europe, and while they're not the cast iron and it's not, you know, steam, it is hot water, and so they're on the walls underneath windows and stuff like that. I can show you those as well in the system tour, and I'll show you like how I regulate temperatures and all of that. So we're gonna put this video in the can. It is almost 9 o'clock. 90% of this video is edited. This clip is the only thing not in the video right now. So like I said earlier, I'm going to fire the stove, get it up and running, show you that everything's good, and then I'm going to put this thing in the can. So in keeping with my motto, if you're thinking about friends, if you're thinking about family, reach out, give them a WhatsApp, give them a WhatsApp, whatever works for you. Hey, you know you like it when they reach out to you. So they like it too. And until the next one, auf Wiedersehen.